Well, I'm more obsessed with the Jets now.
Oh, baby, now this is some breaking news.
Okay.
Ian Rapaport.
Now I'm more intrigued, too.
Ian Rapaport of the NFL Network. Oh, my gosh, what a deal this is. The Raiders are completing a trade of star wide receiver.
You know Joe Douglas, a pick swap guy. Tell me there's a pick swap.
Davante Adams to the Jets. And not only that, tell me, this is a bargain. Per Ian Rapaport, it is a conditional 4th-round pick, which can become as much as a 2nd-rounder based on performance. Now who's doing some bludgeoning? Joe Douglas just did to the Raiders what the Packers did to Joe Douglas.
Did he?
They had to do this. If you watched the game last night, they had to do this. But does this change your position now on future Jets viewing?
Yeah. No, they're more intriguing now. Obviously, Devonte with his history, but the Jets were fading into irrelevance.
Yes, they were.
Even with the most interesting man in sports, or one of them, they're fading into irrelevance. They lost last night. They're, and as I was watching on Sportsmanlike this morning, basically saying they're closer to the Patriots than they are trying to catch the Buffalo Bills, which I don't know if I necessarily. And it was just, you started seeing it go off. Is this going to make them a playoff team? Doubtful. But the fact that the Raiders, I hate to do this again, but give Goody some more love, man. What did Brian Gutekunst get for Davante Adams a couple years ago?
A first and a second.
And what did that turn into?
Yeah, he was a 3-time. He was
Jason.
back to
Jason. Just asking factual questions. You can give your opinion afterwards. What did that turn into for the Green Bay Packers?
Quay Walker.
Okay.
And then I'll have to double-check the 2nd-round pick.
I want to say Christian Watson was involved in that. I'm not 100% sure. I think Christian Watson was involved in that at some point, the way they moved
Yes,
picks.
because they used that 2nd-round pick to go up to get Watson, and they used another pick to do so as well.
So, Goody.
The Goody.
Because we can get in here. I don't want to break down the Jets. Am I more interested now that Devontae's back with Rodgers? Yeah. Is this going to be more of a like a share retirement tour? Or is this going to be like a Killers rock band like I Can't Wait Taylor Swift? What are you thinking this is going to be more like? Because the Jets are, 2-4 as we sit here today?
In a not very good division.
Yeah, is Devonte going to make that big of a difference? I certainly hope so. He's got a hammy. Don't know if that hammy will get miraculously healed and he'll play next week.
It's like Reggie White's healed by the Lord, yes.
I just wonder if you can go back 2 years. Is it going to be in that case? Is it going to be as good as it was? All I know is I am as a Packer fan today, and with the fact that we all were Panic City when Goody traded Devonte. I remember because Kentucky lost to some team, and I had my cover 5, and I got bludgeoned, but we had to do like a hit because I can't believe they got rid of Devonte. And I was still surprised. And now when you look at it and what my guy has done, he's done everything right. Everything. So when it comes to Devonte and Aaron Rodgers.
In fairness for the panic that you felt as well, despite your Goody standum, they had no one at wide receiver after they traded him. And if we're being honest, the 2022 season, in part because I watched an interview last night on, I think it was on YouTube, it was from the NFL Network, that Kyle Brandt did with Rodgers. And within that, they're talking about how well he relates to the young players on the Jets roster. Look, he bears significant responsibility for not finding a way to make it work better with 𝙒𝙗𝘼𝙒𝘿 𝘼𝙁, Romeo Doubs, and Christian Watson during the 2022 season. But when
season.
It was a completely lost season. And while two of those guys obviously evolved into improving players in subsequent years, when they traded Davante Adams, they had none of those guys. They had Allen Lazard. And that left them obviously in a position in the 2022 season where no one was saying, hey, boy, what a great move to get rid of him. And Quay Walker wasn't super productive and got kicked out of 2 games that year, if you remember. So it is, I would argue that while you are right about �12𝘀, I would also argue that the development of those players allowed that trade to be as brilliant as we see it now. Because in real time, and they did lose an entire season basically with what they played out there. I mean, they lose the final game. They could have made the playoffs and didn't. But you call it a lost season. It was a lost season. And in the NFL, you only get so many.
Sure. But �12𝘀 made the right calls on both.
Yeah.
Made the right calls. He did.
Ultimately, he did.
I think this, and Dale in Reedsburg just texted in or tweeted in, number 8 looks juiceless. To me, he's useless.
That's not the phrase Tausch uses.
This will give him some more juice. And I'll be more intrigued, but I don't think they're going to be that interesting of a story. I think it'll be a fun little get-together in the beginning, but I don't think this is going to put like the Jets over the top and put them as a contender. I think at best this gives them a chance at a 7 seed. That's what at best. I agree with you, they needed to do it because the ship was sinking. How strong is Devonte? Is he going to be able to pull that ship back up? I don't know, Jim. I would not bet on it. But Devonte is a special talent. Is he going to be able to stay healthy, and is he going to be able to do something big for them? I'm not seeing it. I am glad. I think it's going to make things a lot more interesting, and it flips the storyline that the Jets were donezo to, all right, let's see what they got with Devonte. And now Packers East is even more East. I thought Devonte wanted to go West. Wasn't that the whole thing?
Yeah.
He wanted to go West.
I think eventually you get to the point where you're miserable at work and you're willing to work somewhere else just to enjoy working.
It's almost like it's the people, not the location. Isn't that almost what it's like?
Some might say. Look, if he had it to do over, he never leaves here.
No. And then, but then do we have what we have
now?
No,
then we probably don't have. Maybe they don't have Jaden Reed, whatever it might be. Right. So I guess
would the Packers be in a better spot had they re-signed Devonte or where they're at now?
Ooh, that's an interesting question.
No, it's an easy answer. It's an
Why?
easy answer.
Why is it easy?
They're better now because they're in a better spot now.
Well, how do you know that?
I don't think it's even close.
He went to the Raiders and was still a first-team All-Pro, so that was 3 years in a row.
Sure.
And then they get rid of David Carr, or Derek Carr. I always get the cars mixed up. And then they have the train wreck of a season with Jimmy G and Jesse's Purdue guy, Aiden O'Connell. Now they got another their quarterback situation sucks. They fire their coach. They've got a coach saying guys are making business decisions. Look, he was wrong. He was wrong about Jordan Love, and Devonte will admit that now. And Jordan Love would have been obviously far superior to what he played with. And you don't think that Jordan Love wouldn't love to have him? Like, I understand he loves all of his guys.
I don't know. I don't know if he would.
Would we have the Romeo Doubs situation?
Jason, talk to Brett Favre and ask him if was it good for him to have Sterling in the beginning? Yes. But ask him when he was better. When did he win MVPs? Was
Right,
it when he was sprinkling the ball around?
But do you think as he would have grown, he would have become less reliant or less, I don't want to say bullied, but less pressured to get him the ball all the time? Like, again, that was a different offense, right? I mean, they always had a number one guy that had a major share of the targets. It just, the guy wasn't always sterling, and the numbers weren't quite as high. The year that Robert Brooks replaced him, he had 102 catches. So it's not right. So that was predicated on you had your go-to guy. That was the West Coast system. I don't know what it would have looked like here.
If you would have kept Devonte, you probably don't have Watson, and you probably don't have Reed. That's probably the trade-off.
They traded back 3 times in the second round and still got Reed.
I know.
That was part of that trade. Well, so maybe Goody would have liked him regardless. It's not like the Packers didn't have other wide receivers like when they had good guys, right? I mean, Ted drafted all kinds of good ones in the second round.
So you're in the club. You think that Devonte would have been better for Jordan in the beginning and actually made his life easier, and he'd still be on the same progression?
I think Jordan Love is good enough that he would have been on this trajectory as long as he had good players around him, no matter who they were to throw the football to.
Do you think that COVID game where he almost got Devonte killed?
I think that ruined everything.
And you think that soured Devonte to the point where he's saying, I'm not playing with this cat now? You think that's what happened?
I don't think it was just that. I think that was the cherry on top. He was at the practices in 2020 and 2021, which I keep trying to tell people, as awesome as Jordan is, he didn't look that way then. And if you're a potential Hall of Fame wide receiver and you are trying to figure out how to continue that when you know Aaron Rodgers is not long for Green Bay. Now, it turned out he ended up being there another year than Devonte expected. But if you're trying to improve your chances of being in Canton and you don't think that Jordan Love is going to turn out to be as what Jordan Love has turned out to be, then you're going to get out of Dodge. And you're pissed off because they lowballed you with the $17 million a year offer going into the 21 season. So you put it all together.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate deal. Because I would have loved to have seen that beginning part of Jordan's career with Devonte, but we don't have the same roster and we don't have the same growing up together bit that we have, and it would change the chemistry of the room. It would.
It was pretty ugly at 3-6. It was pretty ugly at 3-6 last year.
Until it wasn't. Until
Correct.
it wasn't.
That's why I said at 3-6.